South Africa's Travel Indaba will be underway at the Inkosi Luthuli Convention Center in Durban from tomorrow until Friday. Over 500 buyers from across the world will be converging and interacting and with those selling products and experiences. Joining us to tell us more of what to expect is Tshivhengwa, Chief Executive Officer at the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Tshifhiwa, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. After a 2-year break because of COVID, South Africa hosting this Travel Indaba in 2022. First and foremost, are we ready to welcome the delegates in the context, of course, of the changing world in which we live in?
No, absolutely. I think, we have been absent for the past 2 years, as you have said, due to COVID, and everyone is excited to be back at Indaba. To make sure that, we display what Africa and South Africa has to offer, and we make sure that we generate demand for the products that we have and the services and the experiences that we have here in South Africa and, across, the African continent. I think there's an excitement. I've already met with few people that are quite excited to come back here. It shows that the industry is on the way to recovery, and it shows that, everyone is ready to work. Of course, us from the private sector have always been ready to work. And it also shows that, those that are in the public sector are also ready to work. So there's an excitement all around. It gives hope, and it ensures that, those entrepreneurs that have been hungry to showcase the new things that they've been working on over the COVID period are able to do so. So it's excitement all around. We are happy to be back. We are happy to support Durban and the province of KZN to make sure that, those that are in the tourism space and hospitality space are supported through what we're going to be spending, while we are here in Durban.
Yeah. It's a bittersweet pill to swallow kind of a situation, especially with the kind of devastation that you're seeing in the outer parts of KwaZulu-Natal. What is or let me rather put it this way, how is the province owning the narrative and changing the narrative to be one that is at least inspiring to the buyers who are coming on?
Well, the province have done a great deal of work in terms of, communicating, what has happened in the province and the fact that, there has been a cleanup and we are back on track. And of course, there are many issues that are going to be dealt with by various parts of government, like, the provision of water, the fixing of the roads, and many other things that still need to be dealt with. But there has been a message across the world that says that, regardless of what has happened, the disaster that has happened, and the lives that have been lost and the livelihoods that have been lost, the rebuilding efforts are there, and it's all hands on deck. And I think that message is well received across, many parts of South Africa, the African continent, and the world. And I think now it's time for us as a country to also support this province. It has gone through a lot, and I think tourism is it's quite important here in KZN. There are various aspects of tourism that happens here that don't happen in many parts of the country, and therefore for us to be coming here at Indaba, it does two things. One, we are saying that we need to generate demand for both domestic and international inbound markets. Number two, while we are doing this here, we are also showing that we need to protect the supply side by making sure that we ourselves, who are travel professionals, are able to travel and support bed and breakfast, hotels, the informal side of businesses that are, here by the beach. People are selling T-shirts and many other things around here, including ice creams and so forth and so on. Make sure that we're supporting the restaurants and many people that work within the value chain. So for us, that's part of supporting the supply side of tourism. By mere fact that we have travel, we are here after the devastation, it simply means that we have faith in this province, and we know that, we're going to bounce back. And part of bouncing back is us ourselves, getting here and traveling and supporting, what we do.
Yeah. In terms of numbers, how much business are you looking to make out of this? I mean, as you put it, the Indaba itself is tailored in such a way that you advance the needs of the continent's tourism business sector. How much business comes out of this coming together?
Well, Africa Travel Indaba is quite important within the.
Oh man, We seem to have lost Tshifhiwa there as we coming back to that. He seems to be back. All right. All right, Tshifhiwa, we seem to have lost you there for a moment. Let's try. I think the connection is better. So just you were saying the Travel Indaba is very important. How much business comes out of it?
Well, it's a significant, part of the travel trade within the African continent. And there are many buyers that are coming from international source markets. There are many buyers that are coming from the African continent, and many buyers that are coming from South Africa as a domestic, buyer. So there's a huge amount of business that's going to be done here at Indaba. And again, it's rebuilding from what we've lost during COVID. So it may not be as big as it used to be in the past, but nonetheless, from the low base that we have, we're going to be building upward. So we are expecting by the end of Indaba to hear how many meetings have been held, how much business have been converted, and how many people have made contacts with other trade partners coming from the continent and coming from other source markets, and to see as we go after, probably a year, how many people have arrived on the basis of the business that have been done here at the Africa Travel Indaba. So it is something that we're going to quantify later on. But this is the biggest show as far as travel and tourism is concerned in the African continent. Everyone is here, including the likes of Mauritius, Tanzania, Ghana. Many other countries are going to be here to showcase what they have to offer to the world. So it is a big deal. And the work that we are doing here shows that, we are serious about this as South Africa. And as the private sector, it means that we are serious about selling the experiences that we have to the international markets. And therefore, we expect that, this will turn out to be, one of the biggest, bounce back from the tourism point of view in the next year.
Yeah, as the buying and selling continues, the celebrations, the eating of ice cream, walking on the beach and so on and so forth, there is also some serious conversations that need to be underway as the gathering is happening there. What are some of the key topics that delegates will be focusing on this year?
Well, there are a few things that we need to talk about. One of the most important things is that how do we generate demand for domestic travel, and how do we generate demand for international inbound? And also, how do we make sure that we reimagine the work that we do as an African continent, and how do we make sure that the brands, various countries as brands in terms of, when we go outside of the continent, how do we make sure that we reimagine that? How do we reposition ourselves? Because the world has changed since COVID have happened. People are traveling differently. So we need to look at the trends. We need to look at what is it that people are looking for. Is it adventure? Is it a laid-back type of vacation? What type of infrastructure they're looking for? Are they looking for more of a 5-star or deluxe accommodation, or are they looking for accommodation that's far from the cities? We have to look into all these things and discuss the trends, discuss Africa as a continent. How do we take advantage of, the movement of people within the continent? How do we tear down the barriers that we have? How do we make sure that more airlines are flying, into the continent and especially into South Africa? How do we make sure that all these things happen? So those topics are going to be discussed. But more importantly, how do we work together between the private sector and the public sector to make sure that the plans that we've put in place are realized? And this is certainly one of the aspects when we come to African Travel Indaba. It's one of those levers that makes sure that, we start to talk about the recovery in action, not necessarily on the piece of paper. So now that we are here, we've put things in action. We are saying to the world we're open for business. Yes, we're going to have challenges. There are a few things that we need to work on that are medium to long term. But in the short term, we're open for business and people should be able to come here. But we need to understand the trends and many other aspects, that have happened throughout the COVID period. And we are ready to do that. We have been talking to various people across the world. We've been sharing the trends. Some of them are going to be speaking here to share their views and what they have seen that will, be beneficial for our entrepreneurs, for our hotels, for our car rentals, and the entire value chain to ensure that, we follow those trends to attract more tourists. So the discussion is going to be robust. It's going to be frank. And we're going to make sure that while we do that, we are repositioning ourselves as the premier tourism destination as a country.